What is up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to be going over the 2 books and the 3 podcasts that really helped me gain that courage and the confidence that I so desperately needed when I was going through the decision of quitting my corporate job. Now, the reason why I made this video is because I firsthand understand what a big decision this is and how scary and lonely it can be. During this phase in your life, you don't really have that many people or mentors to talk to. And that's why for me, during that period of my life, I turned my attention a lot to podcasts and books in order to find the inspiration that I desperately needed and that guidance in order to figure out if leaving my job was actually the right decision for me or not. So the first book that really changed my life is Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. Now this book is extremely detailed and it talks about a wide range of topics including how we live our lives and how we operate in life and business. And I definitely don't want to ruin the book in case you want to read it, so I'm only going to give you the 2 key takeaways that I received from this book that specifically helped my way of thinking and gave me the confidence and the inspiration that I needed to pull the plug. The first takeaway is that this book really helped me change my perception on wealth, and it taught me that it's not just money that makes someone wealthy, but it's time as well. And how we use that time is a huge determinant on whether we live a rich life or a poor life. Something that specifically struck me with this book is that he asks you, would you rather spend the next 40 to 50 years working in a rat race environment that you don't even like, only to get 3-week vacations per year and to retire at 65? And then once you retire, finally use the last 20 to 25 years of your life to enjoy what's left? Or would you rather spend the next years of your life working on something every day that truly doesn't feel like work, that truly doesn't feel like you need a break from? And so this example specifically really opened my eyes to how many people in this world actually use up so many of their glory years working on things that they don't love, going to jobs that they hate, only to retire at 65 and enjoy what's left. But the problem is that by the time you're 65, your body and your mind are not going to be as youthful as it is right now. And by being so scared of this concept is what really motivated me to start now. Yes, it might take a while to find my true passion. Yes, it might take a while to make a living out of something that I love doing, but I'd rather spend the next 5-10 years doing that than spend the next 40 years working on something that I already know is not for me. The second major takeaway from Tim Ferriss's book is that it taught me the importance and the power of being an owner versus being an employee or even being a boss. For example, what he says in the book is that many people in this world strive to either be an employee or a boss. But truly rich and wealthy people, they aspire to be owners. And how Tim Ferriss really illustrates this is basically, think about a train, okay? Would you rather be the employee that works on the train serving the food or manning the tickets, or the boss that actually has to make sure that the train runs on time? Or would you rather be the owner of the actual train and have the employee and the boss do the work for you and making sure that the train is operating well? I think that once Tim Ferriss really broke down these examples between truly wealthy people versus average people, it really lit up this entrepreneurial bug inside of me and inspired me so much to do my own thing and to strive to be an owner, not just in business, but also in my life. And so before I move on to the next book, I also want to give a lot of credit to Tim Ferriss. I think Tim Ferriss played a huge role in my journey of leaving the rat race and starting my own business. And other books that he has are also extremely excellent. He has a book called Tools of Titans and also Tribe of Mentors. Well, essentially, in a nutshell, those 2 books feature over 100 of the world's top performers, and each section of the book really digs deep into the philosophies of these people, their lifestyle, their habits, and these people also give their business and financial advice in these books. And so by reading these books, it also opened my mind to what was truly possible in my life, and also gave me a tribe of mentors and a tribe of people that I may not know, but really coached me through this time in my life. The second book that I want to give a shout out to is Danielle Laporte's Desire Map. This book really helped me be more in tune with my intuition and gave me the inspiration to follow my gut and to lead a life that is more intentional. Essentially, what Danielle Laporte teaches in the Desire Map is that a lot of times, a lot of people, we set goals based on material objects, material items, material experiences, just external things that don't necessarily really mean anything. Because at the end of the day, yes, we're trying to chase these external goals, but what we're really searching for is the feelings that we hope we'll get by attaining these goals. So, for example, let's say one of our goals is to have a six-figure salary. But really, what that truly means is that by having that six-figure salary, what we're really hoping for is that we hope to feel validated. We hope to feel powerful. We hope to feel a sense of freedom. These three feelings are really what we're looking for, not just the six figures, not just the money. It's really what that money will actually bring us into how we feel about ourselves and our lives. So essentially, in a nutshell, what this book really taught me is to set goals not just based on external things like starting my own business, being on Forbes 30 under 30, or being a VP of whatever company. It really taught me to set goals based on the feelings that I want to achieve in my life. So, for instance, the major three goals that I have in my life is to feel alive, it's to feel purposeful, and it's also to feel creative. And when I actually narrowed down these three feelings that I wanted to achieve in my life, I realized that the job that I was doing in my previous Fortune 500 company, none of those things that I were doing in my day-to-day job actually made me feel alive, purposeful, nor creative. And that's when I knew that there was a huge misalignment between what my actual goals were and what I wanted in my life versus what I was doing right now. It also allowed me to tap into what I truly wanted and understanding my why for doing things. And not only all of these things, it also helped me find careers or find opportunities that would actually make me feel good, that would actually make me feel more alive, more purposeful, and more creative. Now onto podcasts. During that time in my life when I was questioning whether or not to leave my job, podcasts were a lifesaver. I think that was the time in my life where I listened to the most podcast shows actually. And I would spend all my mornings while I was doing my makeup listening to episodes. Even during my commute to work, I would be listening to podcasts, or as I was walking home after work, I'd be listening to podcasts. And so podcasts really changed the way that I consume content, and it also gave me inspiration that I didn't really know I needed. So the first podcast that really changed the game for me is a podcast called Don't Keep Your Day Job by Cathy Heller. And this podcast is literally perfect for anyone who is contemplating leaving their job. This whole podcast's focus is basically for people who are in this stage in their lives. And what I love most about this podcast is not only does Cathy Heller interview people who have quit their jobs and followed different paths in their lives, but she also introduces experts onto the show to actually talk about the psychology of leaving, the advice that they would give, and it's not just fluffy stuff, it's actual tangible stuff that might help you and inspire you to take the leap yourself. So for anyone who is considering leaving their jobs or needs that inspiration or needs that advice, I highly, highly recommend Cathy Heller's Don't Quit Your Day Job podcast. The second podcast that indirectly basically helped me quit my job is NPR's How I Built This. I think a lot of people know this podcast. It's a very popular one, but I can't stress enough how amazing this podcast truly is. If you don't know this podcast, essentially, each episode actually focuses on the founders of some of the world's biggest companies. But not only do they talk about business and entrepreneurship and everything like that, but what I love most about this podcast is that it really focuses on the story, on the journey of the founder before they even got successful. And I think that that is what makes this podcast amazing, because you can actually see the struggles that these entrepreneurs went through, the risks that they had to take, their backstory, the decisions, their setbacks, their failures, everything. And I think that this podcast, very similar to Tim Ferriss's book, is what truly ignited that entrepreneurial bug inside of me. But also what this podcast did is give me the courage to relentlessly chase after my dreams and to not give up and to have that persistence. Because as I was listening to all the episodes, one of the key things that all these successful founders have is persistence, and also a very clear vision and not backing down on that vision. And so NPR's How I Built This is a great podcast if you do want that daily dose or that weekly dose of inspiration of how other people have made a living doing what they love and fighting for what they want in their lives. Last but not least, the third podcast that really gave me the courage to ditch the 9-to-5, and that is The Kelly Track Show. Now, Kelly Track is actually a boss babe that I was lucky enough to go to university with. And when she launched the podcast, I listened to many of her episodes. And a lot of her episodes, especially in the earlier stages of her podcast, really focused on her journey and her mindset of how she took the leap in order to pursue entrepreneurship, and how she took the leap to let go of Silicon Valley, and how she took the leap to let go of corporate. She's done a lot of cool things in her life, and her story is incredibly inspiring. And one of my favorite episodes of hers on the podcast is an episode called Quitting is Underrated. And I'll link the show in my description in this video, because I truly think that if you are someone who has a lot of anxiety about how people will label you if you quit, because trust me, I had that. I was so scared of being called a quitter. I didn't want that to ruin my reputation. I just didn't want people to think that I just gave up and I'm not a good worker, that I'm not a hard worker. You know, this episode really changed my perspective on why quitting is actually okay. Kelly's podcast is also great if you want to tap into the spiritual side of you. I think that Kelly's podcast really kind of got my feet wet into law of attraction, manifestation, the universe, you know, finding alignment in your life. And I think that her podcast is a great resource if you wanted to get your feet wet into that world of spirituality. And if you don't, that's totally okay. She has some episodes, especially the ones that are pertaining to her story and how she took the leap. They're incredibly inspirational, and I highly, highly could not recommend it any more than I already have. So that's it, guys. Those were the 2 books and the 3 podcasts that truly changed the way that I saw my journey and truly changed my perspective on quitting and leaving a job that was no longer serving me. And I hope that by watching this video, you decide to pick up one of the books or take a listen to one of the podcasts, and I hope it changes your life too. And if not, then I hope that you don't give up on this journey to find your true life's purpose. And if you need any help with that, then feel free to drop a comment, private message me. This is my Instagram, so you can always message me if you want. I'm here to help. So that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I hope you guys have an amazing life, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.